throughout the session, I will have you move your hands down and at your sides, but right now it's totally fine to keep them where they're at. You're going to talk.
He doesn't like the door closed either.
It's okay. We're going to get started with Leanne this morning. We're going to step into what was your intention again. It was moving through your intuition and have a bit more clarity around intuition and stepping out of what it might be a little bit muddled between fear and your intuition and your gut sensation, and tapping into a bit more of that within our time. We'll, of course, articulate as we move through our time. I hope you guys enjoy a bit of an inside peek of Leanne's session today. So as we get started, I'd love for you to soften your gaze or close your eyes completely if you feel comfortable doing so. And just like within starting a yoga class, we are observing the quality of mind, quality of body and breath, not changing, critiquing, or judging anything that's coming through. And as you're noticing the sensation of your clothes shift with your breath, maybe the weight a little bit heavier throughout the back body into the table, allow for yourself to take a little scan of your inner world for the next few breaths to come. And then as these next few rounds of breath do transpire, can you allow for your inhales to lengthen a touch, your exhales to slow down every round? And as your inhales come through, can you start bringing a little bit of an intention or attention towards the top of the crown of the head, and then exhale to allow it to settle down through the heart, maybe into the belly, a bit heavier with your exhales. Taking a few more just like that. And as you feel the sensation of ease trickle down the back of the head, a bit heavier, maybe you find a softening over the front of the face, or the eyes, the cheeks. And then guide your next few inhales to the nape of your neck, right where the spine meets the base of your head. And then exhale to soften, maybe you relax through the throat, the collarbones, the shoulders over time. When it feels like you have a bit of a landing or a bit more of a settling in that grounded space throughout the shoulders, the heart space, the next few breaths can come through the heart, a bit wider through the ribs, high throughout the chest. And then exhale to soften through the back body, maybe a little bit more down the arms, the elbows, the wrists over time. And we'll move it down into the diaphragm, lower ribs, right underneath the heart space, getting a nice big breath out and wide. And softening through the spine. Maybe it trickles down into the hips and belly a bit with that exhale of ease. And then allow you the belly button to push up towards the ceiling with your inhale. Exhale to let it settle back towards the spine into the bed. We'll call back that intention of all the way up into the crown once again with your inhales. And then exhale to allow a bit more of this weight to come past the hips, down through the knees, and maybe down into the ankles and toes, taking a few breaths to get there over time. There's no rush or urgency. As you call forth just those long inhales, slow exhales, noticing how light, clear, or just a bit more grounded you are through the back body into the bed beneath you. Now I'll clear our space just a touch with my aura spray. Do a little mist over the body. I'll take you a few pumps and then a nice deep breath in and out. One more, biggest breath you've taken today. And letting it go. As we continue with our time, you are more than welcome to keep this breath long, calm, even and steady. Anything comes to mind, you're more than welcome to bring it forth and say anything. And I will be articulating a little bit of the energy that I'm noticing as we move through our time and beginning our Reiki portion of our space. Already right off the rip, being up towards the crown of your head, it feels like what ifs that are coming through, these worries or these anxieties, more than tangible fears that are holding you back from the separation of anxiety or these gut fears or those blockages that are coming through in the mental capacity, at least in the moment. Now again, around the top of the head, around by your forehead and eyes, that's usually the worries or the anxieties and the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, what ifs. And it really does feel like it's not too far off in the distance. Within, say, 7-10 years, I don't feel like those kinds of things are really within the capacity of those what ifs or how you'd like it to kind of be aligned or shaped. It more within our daily routine of allowing for ourselves to bring in that trust within our movements, our decisions. Those things tend to echo away a little bit more of that fluff of the future tense and maybe the next 2, 3, 4 years. If you see a little bit of a magenta aura or a blue aura around your right shoulder, to me that's more of the feminine energy, your inner world and how you show up for yourself. So there may be even a little bit of a hesitancy to really show up and shine with that gut sensation. Like you said, it's a little bit of that yes and leaning in and testing the waters. What is intuition? What is that pull? If it's fear, lack mindset, a little bit of that worry, or is it excitement dressed as that fear? I do pick up on distractions or things that might be pulling you away from your attention towards that clarity of movement. And it feels like it's more or less spinning plates. You have a lot of different things moving, puzzle pieces, than traumas or things that are within lack in your life that are pulling you away from which one or the other. We are living in a wild and crazy Wild West of a world at the moment, so I can only imagine there's some things and stuff that always pull your attention away from what you're doing in the moment or where you'd like to be and how to show and shine up in the present time. Yet one thing I do love to articulate is that you are worthy, you are enough, and you are unconditionally loved. I'm giving you a little bit more space, pulling my hands closer towards your head and getting a little bit of a proverbial step back away from some of these what ifs, these shoulda, coulda, wouldas, these distractions a touch more, so they might not be so heavy on your mind in the next few days to come, especially around the holidays. You've had experience in historical sense, family, relations, work, etc. They're there. Everybody has it. Yet for yourself, I don't feel like it's super heavy or anything that really impacts you in the way that you show up or restricts you or has a hindrance in the way of your expression or too heavy of a groove of self-expression per se. Which is always nice. I'm going to take a nice deep breath in through the nose and let it out through the nose. Allowing one more just like that. Mama. Take a nice deep breath or two, and I'm going to place my hands on your shoulders. Take a nice deep breath and then exhale. Place my hand on your shoulder and elbow. Right away, when it comes to how you show up in the world or the lack thereof, right away it's very much your throat and your heart, so you speak through your heart, very either kindly or directly. And again, you lead from a space of care, this knowing, this, again, within the practitionership of what you're leaning towards makes sense. It also feels as though you can be quite feisty in your communication as well at times. And it may only come out when you're around people that you're comfortable with or you know quite well, yet your fiery, passionate, and kind of silly side may be a bit more stoic until you feel comfortable enough to let that side of yourself be shown, whether it's, outside of family and so on. You definitely have a very grounded and heart-led expression exteriorly from the way that it shows up energetically. Yet it can be a yes and. The more that you trust that intuition, you push past a little bit of that fear or gut sensation that might be popping up. And noting at times where it lands in the body when you feel those kinds of articulations of energy come through, whether it's through the heart, feel tense in the shoulders, maybe you have a bit more of a busy brain. The more you acknowledge and feel into it, the more you can figure out what it's actually telling you. At the moment, I have my hand over your heart and around your root chakra, the base of your chakra system, and letting my hands open up slowly over time to allow for this communication through the belly to take form. So your solar plexus, your sacral, and root, these are all your foundations of expression, again, your passion, your purpose, your drive, and not that they're non-existent, yet allowing for the heart in that grounded expression to speak through all of it, not just one aspect or another. The one thing that's kind of coming up is there's no pressure to be a certain way within this expression. Being able to allow it to just be, noticing how it comes through. I like to say that it's your fine-tuned oasis, things that really help you amplify your sense of being comfortable in your knowing that you got this, no matter what it looks like, it's going to be okay. The more grounding I feel like you have in that expression inwardly, you take the time to notice those kinds of sensations, built that trust or that intuitive knowing in yourself and practices over time, which I can let you know about them as we end our time. I feel like the more passionate and comfortable you'll be with expressing a bit more, again, fiery within this new cycle that you're taking on. Myself, I do it as well. You may even hold a bit of tension up through your shoulders, ribs, neck, just from all the thoughts and the tension held within the upper body, especially if you're also taking on a practitionership of care and wellness. You tend to be using your arms and your wingspan a lot with people, kind of like myself. Just being mindful of that, lots of stretches, big breaths, as you move further into your practices. Something I've had to do myself in my own life recently is structure this scaffolding that we were once on. You had a historical, specific cadence within your life, and now that this is new, different, and then some. Being able to get some daily practices in your life that really help you build a nice foundation for this newness that's to come, then it feels a bit more secure to build on and grow into, instead of just using that old scaffolding and foundation that might not be as sturdy or strong to take you to that next level and then some. Deep breath or two, release my hands on your hips on both sides. one thing I do notice as well is, think of it like the lotus in the mud. Both of the legs tend to hold energy, and the more fluid it can come over the thighs and the knees, it feels as though it's easier for you to tap into and ground in certain aspects. So even like you said, it's as within, so without might not match. So it might be easy for you inwardly to tap into this grounding practices, breath work, yoga, etc., but for it to last and stay in the body and really be transmuted into your physical alignment or your actions might be the loss of translation that you were kind of speaking about earlier, which makes sense. We are moving into a new energy this year to come. This year has been the year of the snake, if you will. So it's a lot of shedding, shifting sand beneath our feet. It might not look exactly as what we want it to be or what it thought it might turn out to be even 9-10 months later down into the year. But the more clear we can get on who we want to be when life doesn't go our way, a little bit of those tools and those practices even now, the quick energy of the year of the horse that's to come, loves a bit of that clarity to move more quickly and efficiently through some of these new endeavors that you're taking on. So it's lovely that you have your own practices or even taking this on in general. A bit lighter and clear. Take breath 2, 3, nice and long, calm. I'll place my hands on your elbow and shoulder. it already feels as though there's, I want to say a softer expression of your inner world or how you show up for yourself, yet you feel very compassionate towards yourself. It feels probably, again, really easy to find that grounded energy, even if it doesn't stick and stay for too long. It also feels like you have no problem speaking kindly to yourself either, even if you get a little bit frustrated or overwhelmed, or again in these kinds of busy thought processes, you don't get too critical on yourself, which I think is a good quality to still foster as you move through all these new terrains. You do hold this beautiful, bright, again, yellow aura, which is usually your solar plexus. I call it popliteal plexus. It's kind of the term phrase. Yet you do have this knowing, you have this wisdom of years spent raising children, having, this trust that you're articulating earlier of your intuition. Sometimes it's just giving it enough space to be like, yeah, I know myself. We got this. Or whatever the term or phrase may come through, to trust a bit more of that embodied, grounded sense of self as you move through new terrain again, new territory. And even if you have to tap back into some earlier experiences, trusting that you've gone through hard things or difficult times and you're strong of mind and body, the more that equilibrium of expression comes through a bit more even. With trusting your gut when it does shine up and want to speak forward. Even keeping activities like dancing, transmuting energy, singing, moving, yoga, breath work, all these kinds of activities that bring a bit more of that awareness into the belly, the diaphragm. Feeling a bit more free within that expression does help a little bit more within loosening up a bit of that rigidity of how it kind of shows up in the outside world as well. As within, so without, they say. As you move through some of these new endeavors, don't be afraid to celebrate even the small wins. Little silly stuff, whether it's a sweet treat, a coffee, you're finding times for joy. Again, I call it my working wine when I'm having a little bit of a beverageino while I'm making dinner, having music on, finding those glimmers in the mundane when you have a slower moment, because that just finds that balance and that yummy energy as you move through new stuff. Maybe again, without the kids in tow or at your side always, since they're shifting and changing themselves. And the more that you lean into those same things that you maybe once have done for them, when celebrating their wins, doing it for yourself too. Because your little you or your teenage you would really appreciate it. Take a few breaths. I'll place my hands on your hips once again. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. One of the things I'm, even myself, we're leaning into is flow. The more that you show up and just be there and begin your experience, no matter what it may be, just being a bit kinder, more silly, more effervescent, a younger version of you and what they'd like to bring forth into this new experience. It can be messy. It's just really about being present and not perfect, the way it shines forward. Almost moving this blue magenta aura that you've had along this left shoulder, around your abdomen. To me, when they're lower down in the body, it means a little bit more of a hesitancy to show up and shine a little bit in your authentic nature, even when, again, trusting that wisdom and that knowledge that you have and applying it into the present time. So as I'm moving my hands down the length of the legs, and eventually I'll place my hands on your ankles and feet to really ground out this energy. So as you are breathing, maybe you imagine you can take in a little bit of that bluish, light blue light in your mind's eye, and even letting it go out the length of the legs, out through the soles of the feet with your exhales. If you're able to, even a nice big inhale, calling forth in a bright yellow light, almost a fire, if you will, and letting go of the blue over time. Which I love, because even as I'm coming down a bit closer to this other side of your feet, your right toes are turning more of a yellow aura around them instead of that little blue. So that's, again, just a bit more passion, more confidence in your step, a little less being in your thoughts and how it should look or shine forward, and just allowing it to be that aligned action. Deep breath. I'm gonna place my hands on my ankles. Take a deep breath, nice and long. After we land. I really enjoy doing at the moment is giving you a bit more of an energetic platform. So even if the next few steps, the next few tasks, the things at hand are feeling a bit muddled, or you not might feel that you have a clarity around what exactly it is that you would like to take on, or the aspects of self that need to come forward and through, just know that they're supported, they're energetically held with your own unique groundedness, your own intuitive notion and knowing. Your wisdom. Now come back around to the top of your head to get just a little bit of a feel for how balanced or aligned we are in the moment. It almost feels like maybe you've taken a lot of action towards, or a lot of thought process towards your inner world, how you show up, your standards, your wants, your needs, your values over the years. And heavily turned a little bit more inward, it feels like. So the more that I'm moving my hands over the crown of your head, it almost feels like I'm shifting a bit of a plank, letting my left hand guide it down your left arm. My right hand's kind of pulling this energy, almost like I'm shifting. It's kind of down through center instead of from right to left. I'd like to even do some energetic band-aids, I call them. So even as I had readjusted some spaces, find this alignment, this attunement within self, I hopefully find a bit more of this ease over time, and even after I send you your email later, and I'll check in within a week's time to see how you're hanging in, and any shifts or changes or little things have come through for you, whether it feels clarity or just a bit more ease in your expression. If these energetic band-aids hold on just a bit more of that yummy Reiki energy over some of these spaces, like groundedness within your hips, a little more of that patching in your energy into the crown so you don't feel too busy in the brain, especially this week ahead. Then I have to have you take at least 2 or 3 big breaths. I'll place my hands on your shoulders once again. Now before I bring you way out into your space once again, let me call in a little bit of a meditation for our space. Since you seem to work in this space often, you facilitate it for yourself. As these breaths come in long and calm, slow and steady with your exhales, can you imagine that golden light once again that we brought forth within our practice slightly? Maybe it's like a honeysuckle yellow, or any kind of yellow that comes to mind. And as you do so, allow for it to grow over time. Maybe it gets closer, brighter, stronger. I even like to imagine it in my abdomen or right below my ribs and expands with every breath. As this light grows and expands, allow it to get to maybe the outer edges of this heart, rib space, the belly over time. I like to think of it like an infinity pool. As your next few exhales arrive and it feels aligned, allow for this energy just to pour over the edges, down the elbows, the shoulders, the hands. Maybe you feel a little tingling sensation through the body as it does so, down the legs and into the toes and face. Noticing how it lands, if it dissipates, any sensations that come through as you do so. Maybe even a little bit heavier and grounded through the back body in total, from head to toes over time. Now taking it a little bit of an unfolding further, especially for into your space, can you imagine that this light that has echoed out into the body, every little atom, nook and cranny of your space, with the exhales, can you imagine that it's coming down into the table that you're lying on, the bolster, feeling the heaviness of any space that's touching the surface beneath you? It's similar to our body scan. Can you imagine it going down the legs of the table, into the rug that the table is on, into the four corners of the rug over time? And then from there, if you can allow it and it feels comfortable to do so, taking the breaths long and calm and steady, imagine this light echoes out into the room around us. The chairs, the windows, your plants, the doors. Imagining it splashing around just like your inner world to your outer world now, into the space that we're in. And now you can use this to feel a bit more grounded and confident with this yellow light, especially at night before you go to sleep, because the next step is letting it pour through your home. Each room, the steps, kitchen, bedrooms, bathrooms, maybe extends to the grounds that your property is on and full. If it doesn't want to stop there and you'd like it to, take it to your county, your state, your country, your world, the universe. Allowing for that relaxation to arrive and that surrender a bit deeply as it expands. that you can always come back to this space, almost like a pinpoint on your GPS within the body. When you have a big day to come, a new adventure to take on, or just stepping a bit more boldly, fully embodied as yourself. These practices are so yummy to take with you on a regular basis to show up the most aligned and authentic and embodied. And then I'll like to take a nice deep breath in through the nose, coming back into your space slowly. There's no rush, no urgency. I will step aside, so then if you'd like to wiggle the fingers and toes over time. I always love a full body stretch after lying on the bed, so if that comes through too, I'm out of the way, you won't smack me. The arms come up overhead. And again, there's no rush. You're more than welcome to roll over on any side of the body that feels good. Or even just find your way up to a seat is fine as well. Again, no rush.